Alright, so here in the great evergreen state, we are having what some people are calling Snowmageddon. I drove through this winter wonderland of shit, ice, and death to go see Underworld Awakening. If anyone says that I have jacked up, stupid, out of whack priorities, I can't much argue them because they're absolutely right. Underworld Awakening. Alright, so I saw the trailer to Underworld Awakening and I was like, why is that happening? This movie kind of looked like it had no relevance whatsoever. After seeing the movie, I actually feel like this movie had no relevance whatsoever. Alright, so in the second Underworld Evolution, which is actually my favorite of the series, we left off where Corvinus gave Selene a gift. The gift, she can now be like a daywalker, like Blade, and that's where it ends. So it's like, oh, where's it gonna take the series? It's gonna be in a whole new direction. It's gonna be awesome. She's gonna be a daywalker and it's just gonna be great. Nope, not actually, not at all. This movie starts out with like a montage of backstory, and it's not really backstory of Underworld 1 and 2, so much as it is a montage filling you in what happened after Underworld 2 to now. What happened, you ask? Well, human beings found out about vampires and lycans, so now there are task forces that go out and eliminate them. They call it the Great Purging. I'm not ruining anything, because this is actually in the montage at the very beginning of the movie. Now, Underworld Awakening takes place like 12 or 13 years after that. But check this bit of false advertising out. Here's the description of Underworld Awakening. When human forces discover the existence of vampire and lycan clans, a war to eradicate both species commences. The vampire warrioress Selene leads the battle against humankind. No, that is not the plot of this movie. That's the 2-minute backstory they give you before this movie. You know, the one that has nothing to do with this movie. False advertising right there. The plot of this movie, there's a little girl that the lycans want, and Selene needs to protect her. That's it. The plot of this movie has nothing to do with Corvinus. The plot of this movie has nothing to do with Lucian. The plot of this movie has nothing to do with Selene's past. It kind of feels like the new X-Files movie where you're like, yeah, that just feels like an episode of a TV show. It's like if Underworld was a TV show, this would be one of the episodes that would be seen as filler. Not really relevant to things, it just kind of happened. Which is code for saying the last 3 Underworld movies are absolutely irrelevant to this one. It seems weird, but that's what it is. This movie's directed by a couple of guys, and it seems like these guys are big video game fans. Example, there's a scene where these lycans are fighting vampires. Alright, all good and dandy. Selene takes some of them out, that's cool. Oh, and then a really big lycan enters the room and she has to fight this enormous lycan. This thing's like 2 or 3 times bigger than any lycan you've ever seen, which made me think video game boss. Which is how it was, you know, you take out the little guys and you gotta fight the really big one and now it's a big boss battle. Just video game shit, it irritated me. Video games are cool, but not this time. I looked these 2 directors up on IMDb. It turns out their last movie has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I'm not saying Rotten Tomatoes is the end-all be-all of human existence in terms of rating movies, but I am saying when I watched this movie and looked into what they did before, I was not surprised in the least that their movie had a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's all I'm saying. I don't know who this movie is actually gonna appeal to. If you're an Underworld fan, you're gonna hate it because it's butchering the Underworld lore that you've come to love. If you're not an Underworld fan, but you are a movie fan, you're gonna hate it because it's not well done at all. So that just leaves people who like video game shit in their movies. In the end, if we're talking about video games, this is like the bad video game chapter that was made by a completely different crew that you don't actually count as part of the video game series that you love. So Underworld Awakening is the first movie of 2012 to get the prestigious award of dog shit. This is just some irrelevant ass movie that has the main character from the Underworld movies and vampires and lycans that don't matter. So your favorite Underworld movie, what is it? Comment below, let me know. Or if you don't like Underworld, your favorite vampire or werewolf movie. Vampires and werewolves, they're badass. Just ask my Magic the Gathering decks, dude. I got a vampire deck and a werewolf deck. Tear shit apart. Yeah, I'm nerdy, I told you that. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.